female pleasure is one of the most talked about subjects in the world, and at the same time, one of the most misunderstood. Many people assume that female orgasm is simple, others believe it's mysterious. But what scientists have learned over the years paints a very different picture. The truth is that the female body contains one of the most sophisticated pleasure systems found in human biology. And perhaps the biggest surprise is this: much of what people think they know about female anatomy is incomplete. In fact, some of the most important structures involved in orgasm are largely hidden from view. What researchers discovered about those hidden structures changed the way experts understand female sexual response. And the deeper we go, the more fascinating it becomes. So, if you've ever wondered what actually happens inside the female body during arousal and orgasm, stay with me, because some of the most interesting discoveries are still ahead. To start, it's important to understand that orgasm is not simply a physical event. It's a combination of the brain, nerves, blood vessels, hormones, emotions, and sensory signals all working together at the same time. Think of it like an orchestra. No single instrument creates the entire experience. Instead, dozens of systems coordinate with one another, often within seconds. That's one reason why no two women experience orgasm in exactly the same way. For one woman, emotional connection may play a significant role. For another, physical stimulation may be the strongest factor. For many, it's a combination of both. Imagine a woman named Sarah. She's healthy, relaxed, and spending time with a partner she trusts. Her brain begins interpreting touch, emotions, and anticipation long before any physical changes become obvious. This matters because the brain is often considered the body's most important sexual organ. Without the brain's participation, many of the body's physical responses simply don't occur in the same way. And what happens next reveals just how remarkable female anatomy truly is. As arousal increases, blood flow begins rising in specific tissues throughout the pelvic region. These tissues contain specialized structures capable of swelling as they fill with blood. Most people are familiar with the visible portion of the clitoris, but that's only a small part of the full structure. The clitoris extends internally much farther than many realize. The external tip, often called the glans, contains an extraordinary concentration of nerve endings. In fact, it is considered one of the most sensitive areas of the human body. But the story doesn't end there. Hidden beneath the surface are branches and bulb-like structures that surround parts of the vaginal opening and nearby tissues. As arousal increases, these tissues become engorged with blood, increasing sensitivity and responsiveness. Many people are surprised to learn that the visible portion represents only a fraction of the entire organ. It's a bit like seeing only the tip of an iceberg while most of it remains underneath the water. Understanding this helps explain why different forms of stimulation can produce different sensations. And it also helps explain why every woman's experience can be unique. But there's another layer that often gets overlooked: the nervous system. Every pleasurable sensation must travel through a network of nerves before reaching the brain. Specialized sensory nerves detect pressure, movement, temperature, and touch. Those signals then race toward the spinal cord and brain, where they are interpreted and experienced as pleasure. The speed and complexity of this communication are remarkable. Millions of nerve signals may be exchanged during moments of intense arousal. And yet, most of this activity happens entirely outside of conscious awareness. The body is essentially performing an incredibly sophisticated biological conversation behind the scenes. Now, here's where things become even more interesting. Many people think orgasm happens only at the final moment, but the process actually begins much earlier. Researchers often describe sexual response as a sequence of stages. During the early phase, anticipation and excitement build. Blood flow increases. Heart rate may gradually rise. Muscles throughout the body can become slightly more tense. Breathing patterns often change. As stimulation continues, these responses become stronger. The body begins preparing for an intense neurological and muscular event. Then, during orgasm itself, rhythmic contractions occur within pelvic muscles. At the same time, the brain experiences a powerful surge of activity involving multiple regions associated with pleasure, reward, emotion, and sensory processing. For a brief period, numerous systems are firing simultaneously. Some women describe the sensation as waves. Others describe pulses, warmth, release, or a feeling of intense connection. The descriptions vary because individual experiences vary, and that variation is completely normal. If you're finding this fascinating so far, I'd love to know where you're watching from. Leave a comment below and share your thoughts. And if you enjoy learning about the science of the human body explained in simple language, consider subscribing so you don't miss future videos. Now, one of the most persistent myths involves the idea that there is only one correct way for a woman to experience orgasm. Modern research suggests the reality is much more complex. Different types of stimulation may activate overlapping networks of nerves and tissues. For some women, direct stimulation of the clitoris is the primary pathway. For others, stimulation involving internal structures may contribute significantly. Many experiences involve combinations of multiple forms of stimulation occurring together. This diversity is one reason why communication, comfort, and individual understanding are often emphasized by health professionals. Human bodies are not identical, and neither are human experiences. But the biggest surprise may be how strongly the mind influences everything. Stress, anxiety, distraction, fatigue, and emotional tension can affect the brain's ability to process pleasurable signals. Even when the body is physically capable of responding, mental factors can sometimes interrupt the process. On the other hand, feelings of safety, trust, relaxation, and emotional comfort may support a more positive experience. This connection between the brain and body continues to be one of the most fascinating areas of scientific study. Researchers are still learning exactly how emotions, memory, attention, and physical sensation interact during sexual response. And each new discovery reveals just how interconnected the human body truly is. Consider another example. Imagine two women experiencing nearly identical physical stimulation. One feels relaxed and present. The other is distracted by stress from work, family responsibilities, or personal worries. Even though the physical situation appears similar, their experiences may be dramatically different. That's the power of the brain's involvement. It's not simply responding to sensation, it's interpreting it. And interpretation shapes experience. As we approach the end, there's one final point worth remembering. Female orgasm is not a single event that looks the same for everyone. It exists across a wide spectrum of experiences. Intensity can vary, duration can vary, sensations can vary. Even the pathways leading there can vary. And that's exactly what biology would predict in a system as complex as the human nervous system. The female body is not mysterious because it's unknowable. It's fascinating because it's incredibly sophisticated. The more scientists learn, the more they appreciate the remarkable coordination occurring between anatomy, nerves, blood flow, hormones, emotions, and the brain itself. And perhaps that's the most important takeaway from all. Understanding the body begins with curiosity, not assumptions. The more we learn, the better equipped we are to appreciate the incredible complexity of human biology. Before we finish, remember that educational information is never a substitute for personalized medical advice. If you have concerns about sexual health, anatomy, pain, or changes in sexual function, it's always best to speak with a qualified healthcare professional. If you found today's video helpful, leave a comment and tell me what surprised you most. Don't forget to like the video, share it with someone who enjoys learning about human biology, and subscribe for more fascinating science explained in a clear and practical way. And until next time, stay curious, keep learning, and take good care of yourself.